Deployment activities make up the sixth core process. And again, deployment activities include performing the system and stress tests, performing user acceptance tests, converting existing data. That's a huge project in itself where you have to take all the data in the old database from the old system, as well as creating all the data that needs to go into the new system and put it all into the new database so that it's ready to go. You need to build training materials, you need to conduct training, and then you need to configure and set up the production environment, and then finally deploy the solution. And by deploy the solution we mean stop doing things the old way using the old system or the old processes and begin using the new system in order to conduct business from then on. So let's talk a little bit about three different approaches to deploy the solution. The first approach to deploy the solution is direct deployment. Direct deployment means that you basically install the new system, you quickly make it operational, meaning getting everyone using the new system, and then you immediately turn off the old system. Looking at the chart here, we have the old system in operation over time, and then toward the end here, the new system is configured and put into place, and then the old system and all of the hardware that goes along with the old system is removed, sometimes over the weekend. And then immediately Monday morning, the new system is in operation. This particular approach to deployment has lower cost because you're not duplicating operation of the old system and the new system at the same time. But there's also higher risk because if something goes wrong, once you've unplugged and decommissioned the old system and taken all the hardware out, then what happens if that Monday morning the new system doesn't quite operate as planned? So it's lower cost but higher risk. The second approach to deploy the solution is parallel deployment. Parallel deployment means that you operate the old system, continue to operate, entering everything in for a period of time, and then you also start operating the new system, and you have to enter everything and use that system too for a period of time. So when we look at the chart here, the old system is in operation, and then we deploy and configure the new system and begin to run it at the same time that the old system is running. Now this particular approach is lower risk because if something goes wrong with the new system, then you have the old system still in place that you can fall back on. However, it's quite a bit higher cost because you're having to keep both systems running in parallel, running at the same time. It doubles all the workload for the end users. It does give an additional added benefit, though, in terms of final system testing, is you can compare the results on the old system and the new system anytime you want to make sure that the results are identical. That's additional security to make sure that everything is working correctly in the new system. The third approach to deploy the solution is called phased deployment. In phased deployment, you can install the new system in several phases so that each phase can be deployed with a little less risk than deploying the whole thing all at once. In this particular example, we're assuming that there's an old system A and there's an old system B, and the new system is really replacing both of those old systems. So what we're going to do with the first phase is to completely replace the old system A in a fairly direct way of doing deployment. So there's little overlap at all between old system A in operation and the phase one of the new system. However, we've decided that there's a little bit more risk with old system B, and so we decide to implement the replacement for the parts of old system B in two different phases. And in each case, we'll use a little bit of parallel deployment. So old system B continues to operate, but yet we deploy phase two in parallel to old system B. And then a little bit later, we can deploy phase three of the new system, again in parallel to old system B. And then once we're sure everything is working okay, after having done this basically parallel approach to these phases, then we can turn off and get rid of old system B and continue on with phase 2 and phase 3. So at the time that we take system B out, all 3 of the phases are in operation, fully tested with assurance that everything's going to work out pretty well from then on. So this is the phase deployment approach.